Okay, welcome back everybody to the Dream Whisper of Jesus, where we discuss and interpret prophetic dreams. The eagle's flown away, so I'm just here now, and we've got the sunset slowly developing in Canberra here. Quite a cold day today. Today I'm not sharing any specific prophetic dream, but I just thought I'd revisit the US border crisis because I thought it was such a noteworthy event. So what I've written down is, how serious is the US border crisis? So I've heard and read different numbers about how many illegal economic migrants are coming across the US border, but at the lower end of the scale there's 3,000 people per day coming across the southern border, and at the higher end of the scale it's up to 10,000 people coming across the border every day. So if we think about it per year, 3,000 a day equals roughly 1 million illegal economic migrants per year. And then if it is as high as 10,000, that equals roughly 3.6 million people per year. So the numbers are absolutely huge, and the really serious issue is US debt is already 34 trillion. So all this unskilled labour coming across the southern border into the US, they're not going to find America to be an economic paradise. And some of them will find jobs, but every job they take, that's taking a job off an American citizen. And the ones that don't find jobs, the most likely thing they'll do is become absorbed in crime and organised crime. So it's just eye-watering to think about what's happening to the US economy at the moment. The crisis is an economic crisis. It's not a question of race. The colour of the skin of the people coming across the US border, that's irrelevant. It's a question of the US economy not being able to absorb these workers, basically. And the US is already entrenched in debt, and it's going to get worse and worse. So yeah, it's incredible just to watch what's happening in the US. This gives a little bit of a clue to my age, but within my lifetime I've had two what we call great power crises, or I've misspelt it there, crisis. But there's been two great power crises in my lifetime. The first was the Soviet Union between 1985 and 1991, and that was an economic crisis at its core in the Soviet Union, and it ended up with the collapse and dissolution of the USSR and the Warsaw Pact. The second crisis was in China with the pro-democracy Tiananmen Square protests. That was 1989, and that resulted in the Chinese government cracking down on the protesters and maintaining their current system of government. So those were two great power crises, and now America is obviously one of the world's great powers, and it's in its own domestic political, economic, societal crisis in regards to what's happening on the southern border. So yeah, it's historic times we live in. I'm just here in Canberra, Australia, watching the slow moving train wreck that's happening in America. So they just have to lock down their border. They've got no choice. But for some reason the American government seems to think it has a choice, but it will literally destroy the American economy, what's happening on their southern border. For comparison, Australia had its own illegal economic migrant crisis between 2007 and 2013. The Australian government of that period opened the Australian border to illegal economic migrants, and it just got slowly worse and worse each year, and by end of year 6 we've had a total of 50,000 illegal economic migrants come into Australia, and then we had a change of government and it was shut down. But all those people are citizens of Australia now. Everyone knows in Australia what political party those 50,000 people vote for. But yeah, that was a crazy period in Australian history, but thankfully it got closed down. But what's happening in America is just literally 10, 20, 30 times worse than what happened in Australia. And yeah, the US politicians just have to wake up that it will literally destroy their economy if they don't fix it. For comparison, I just thought I'd make a note for people who want to go into the prophetic world more. There's a really high-profile American prophet, Rick Joyner. Some of you might have heard of him. But for a number of years, he's been prophesying that there would be a second civil war in America. And he said he didn't see trench lines and troops like in the first American Civil War, but he said it was more of a social or societal civil war with running street battles on the streets of America. So quite alarming. But yeah, his prophetic dreams seem to be coming true, and those of Dana Coverstone as well, who I mentioned before. As for myself, I don't really get too many prophetic dreams about America. I do get some. The one notable one, I haven't shared it, and I'm not going to share it now, but one prophetic dream about America, I saw a redrawn map of the United States, and some of the states of America were literally missing. The map of America looked totally different from what it looks now. That's what I saw in one of my dreams. So I still don't understand it, but with what's happening in America now, if they don't shut down the border, it could blow up in just completely unpredictable ways, where worst case you have a breakup of the Union. That's how surreal this crisis is on the southern border. If they don't fix it, it could lead to the breakup of the United States. It's just unreal to think about, but that's where we are. Okay, God bless you, brothers and sisters in Christ. I'll catch you later. Bye bye.